This is right here. Some 50 meters from here. That's where he landed. 1910. And on April 4th, he arrives here. All of us are here because he came here. Let me tell you that. This is the reason why we are all here. There is no other reason. This has set in motion so many things. This is one of the most important historic incidents, but you will not find it in the history books. But here is an interesting thing. You know what this is? Matri Mandir. How many of you know about this? Yeah, some of you know. Okay, good. There is a place nearby called Auroville. I live there, and right at the center is that golden sphere called Matri Mandir, the Mandir of the Mother. And on the eastern side of that Mandir, there is this little door. You see here? That door opens only on April 4th. And when that door opens early morning, the rising sun enters horizontally into the inner chamber. The chamber has a large crystal. The rest of the day, the light comes from the top. Throughout the year. Only on April 4th, this happens. So this has been designed at an angle where on April 4th, where exactly the sun is, where the door is. Physically, materially, that incident, that April 4th, where Shri Aurobindo put his foot down here, has been marked there. But these are not made popular, these are secret stories. I am telling you because you are here. You have a deeper journey. I want you to know there are things that are not known. These are not popularized stories. These are unknown layers of history. Someone it is manually opened. It's once a year, morning hours when the sun rises. And it's beautiful to see the light coming horizontally and touching the crystal. So Shri Aurobindo lands up here and stays in this house, Shankar Chettiar's house. But he was in secrecy because he was being searched. The British were hunting for him. So he had to be really, really careful. So he remained here in secrecy. And at the same time, his yoga was deepening. So initially his idea was that he will continue his yoga and complete what he referred to as the supramental power, supramental manifestation. He complete and go back, but he will not go back. He will stay here forever. Initial idea was to go back, but he won't. His sadhana deepens here. That's how he looked at that time. There was a book called Record of Yoga. It's available, where he meticulously maps his journey from 1909 till 1927, where it was a very intense exploration of various planes of consciousness and how these things affect the material world and what is going on in the world, where he saw that there is a new step in human evolution that is happening. And the world is heading for that transition. And India's freedom is only a minor step in the larger global shift that is about to happen. And it was not a political thing, it was an evolutionary transformation that was on the way. And this record of yoga is like, you will not find any yogi like a scientist meticulously analyzing, mapping, charting the course of his journey, and experimenting, and even noting down, okay, this experiment failed, that experiment succeeded, and this much time it took for this realization. And it's a very cryptic document, but a wealth, a treasure for future research of whoever wants to explore consciousness, do research in consciousness, to understand the science of consciousness and various planes of consciousness and powers of consciousness. It's all there. And 1914, that's when the mother comes. She comes from France. And she had her own parallel journey that was happening. I have not tracked that journey, because I was just giving from the India perspective, which we can connect much easier, because you know the Indian history. But she had a similar fascinating journey. And she was receiving somebody in her deeper explorations of consciousness, in her inner reality, whom she started calling Krishna, who used to guide her. And when she came here and met Shri Aurobindo, she recognized this is the person who was guiding her, whom she used to call Krishna. And she knew her work is with him. There is a mission. They had a mission. This evolutionary transformation of the planet was the work for which they have come together. And that was a major incident. And that year, Shri Aurobindo starts this magazine called Arya, where he was asked, he had such a vision for the world, can you please put this down for the world to know? Then he starts this Arya magazine, where he writes, at present mankind is undergoing an evolutionary crisis in which is concealed a choice of its destiny. Remember, the World War was yet to happen. Before that, he saw that humanity is in a crisis. Humanity might self-destruct, not because of any political crisis, but it's an evolutionary crisis. And that vision he was describing. So there was this life divine, synthesis of yoga, foundations of Indian culture, secrets of the Veda. So he dived into all this. He reinvestigated the Vedas, and he could see that many of his experiences he could find confirmation in the ancient documents. So he could see, these rishis have explored and known those things. But now time has come for those states of consciousness to manifest on a large scale. On a planetary level, a massive shift was happening. And soon, World War I starts, 1914. And he was very actively involved in all this, but from an inner axis. Here is Gandhi coming back. Kasturba and Gandhi. And they received a heroic welcome in India, because he was already well known that he was a great fighter. And the attention shifts to Gandhi, and Indian independence movement goes in that direction. Whereas Shri Aurobindo was working from behind. Though politicians of that time was calling back Shri Aurobindo, come back, come back. And he would say, no, my work is in different dimension altogether. India's independence is already certain. There is a very interesting incident that happened. There was someone called Purani. He was a freedom fighter. He was earlier years with Shri Aurobindo. He did not want to leave politics. But at the same time, he was so much drawn to Shri Aurobindo, he wanted to come. But he thought the freedom of the country was more important. And he asked Shri Aurobindo, are you quite sure that India will be free? He comes to Pondicherry to ask this question to Shri Aurobindo, are you sure? Shri Aurobindo became very serious. The yogi in him came forward. His gaze was fixed at the sky that could be seen beyond the window. Then he looked at me, putting his fist on the table and said, "You can take it from me. It is as certain as the rising of the sun tomorrow. The decree has already gone forth. It may not be long in coming." That was a certitude given by Shri Aurobindo to Purani, and that's all what he wanted. He was sure India's freedom will come. Then he comes and joins, because he got that certitude that freedom is taken care. And on August 15, 1947, India gets freedom. By the time, this is how Shri Aurobindo looked. And about the freedom, he says this: "I take this coincidence not as a fortuitous accident, but as a sanction and seal of the divine force that guides my steps on the work with which I began life, the beginning of its full fruition." He was always there, working from behind, putting his spiritual force behind not only India's freedom, but global affairs. But these are completely unknown dimension of his work. You will not find it in any history book, because it's stranger than fiction, because it was not on the surface to see. But there is a stage in the yoga where you are no more bound by the body. You universalizes and become one with the earth. So imagine you have India and various countries are there on the body. And you are identified with the planet, and by the power of your consciousness you can move things. And he used to sit and track all the military movement that was happening with the various wars that were going on. And even he used to say, like, Churchill was one of the instruments in his, he could act through. And one of his correspondents, Churchill, says that I sometimes feel an unknown hand, God's hand, acting through me. He had no clue. So Shri Aurobindo had his instruments through which whom he acted across the world. Then there are subtle dimensions through which he could act in the world. And he was working on a much larger program, much larger than India's freedom. I want to share that part with you. Then we can get into more interactive sessions. Shri Aurobindo, in his last message, not last message, the message of the independence, when independence came, he gave a message to the country in which he referred to 5 dreams that he had. First dream was this revolutionary movement which would create a free and united India. He wanted a united India, not broken up. So he insists later also, India must unite. Pakistan is not a separate part, it's all part of, it's one India. India must be united. One way or other it will happen, that he is certain about that. He says so. He stands for that united India. Second dream was the resurgence and liberation of the peoples of Asia and her return to her great role in the progress of human civilization. So after that we have seen the rise of Japan, Korea, all the tigers, Asian tigers rising up. He had been working towards the awakening of Asia. And he saw the role of Asia in that global arena. That was the second dream he had. Third was a world union, forming the outer basis of a fairer, brighter and nobler life for all mankind. So that humanity is heading for a single global civilization. So that sense of oneness will grip humanity. A world union will happen. And he was seeing the steps towards it through UN and all kinds of organs that were already forming. He showed the steps towards it, the dangers towards it, the wars, possible wars and disasters, catastrophes that were all on the way. But world must unite. That was one of the dreams. World is, he referred to the unification of the world like single market, single military, single government, global governance. Like today, if you look at today's world, the governance is becoming increasingly difficult because the countries can only govern small pockets, whereas business corporations have become transnational. So the laws of one country can be applied in a small region, another country in another region. So our current modes doesn't work. We need a global governance system, global justice system, global currency system, all that. The evolutionary pressure is pushing towards that. We do not have it yet. So he foresaw these things will come and must come, and he explained the ways towards which it will go. And technology itself is driving us towards that kind of a larger governance. So the transnational reality was emerging. So we would need transnational governance systems, which are yet to really emerge. We do have World Trade Center, World Health Organization, UNESCO, all that emerged over the years, but still they do not have the power to really govern the world. Nations are still holding other nations as bullies, and exploitation is happening. Predatory nations are there. And the fourth dream was the spiritual gift of India to the world. It's already begun. Spirituality is entering Europe and America in an ever increasing measure. That movement will grow. So he saw that in this global civilization that is emerging, India has a major role to play. India has a gift to give. That is India's spirituality. That's why you are all here. Because it's your birthright, it's your treasure. You have inherited something which you probably may not know the value of it, but it, and the world needs it. And you have to prepare yourself to give that to the world. It's easy for you as being born here and inherited something. So there is a gift to the world India has to give, and it's India's responsibility. He saw India as actually the guru of the world nations. The community of nations needs to be brought together, but it needs a deeper foundation, a deeper spiritual foundation to create that. And India has to play that role. It's a responsibility of a nation, dharma of a nation. And that's the fifth dream, a step in evolution which would raise man to a higher and larger consciousness and begin the solution of the problems which have perplexed and vexed him since he first began to think and to dream of individual perfection and a perfect society. That was his last dream. That's an evolutionary step. With individual perfection and a perfect society. So these were the 5 dreams that he gave. And the forces have been set in motion. And it's operating on a global scale. We are not aware of it. This you will not find in history books. You will not find it in the media. But it's happening. All that has brought you here as well. So now questions. Now the structured part is over. Now it's free. As whichever direction you want to go, we can go. With active participation. Come. You have the
The question is, assuming like he got nirvana, right? So
that was one of the first
yeah,
experiences.
that time. So like then he was able, later on he was able to see God in everything or everything. So now if that was the case, he would see it in the Britishers and all also, and he wouldn't want to fight them, right? He wouldn't want independence for India if that was the case. Like if he was seeing like everything is one, then he wouldn't want this to be liberated from that because everything is the same.
Yeah, a very interesting question. Imagine you have a wound here, a pus here. What would you do? Remove it, right? It's you, but still you remove it, right? You see that your nails are growing, you cut it and remove it, right? You shave your beard, right? It's you. There are things that are okay in the you and things that are not okay in the you, right? It's same with the larger collective being. So there is the game, right? If you play football, you need two teams and one team has to oppose the other team, right? If there is nobody opposing, scoring a goal is fun? It's not, right? It's no fun. So under game design, you will find obstacles. It's by design. So divine is both the obstacle as well as the goal. It's one thing that has become many, which plays with polarity, oppositions. And Shri Aurobindo even says that if you can't get the divine as your lover, as your beloved, get him as an enemy, fight with him, but don't miss him. Remember the Matrix where Neo was fighting with Morpheus? Where he said, don't try to hit me. It's training. So in life, to build you, you need some training ground. So you are given difficulties, challenges, so that no, don't try to hit me, but hit me. I am coming as an enemy. Now don't shy away. Really hit me hard. So you can have a good fight, but you are enjoying the fight, knowing that with whom you are fighting. So it doesn't come from anger. There's a difference between acting from anger and acting from a deep compassion. There's a story of a master. He had a disciple who was with him for a long time, but then there was issues between them, and eventually this disciple gets so angry he leaves and he goes on abusing this guru. And whenever this teacher goes and gives some class somewhere, this particular disciple will come and start shouting, start abusing him. And this master will sit quietly and he wouldn't say a word and let him shout, poor thing. And other disciples were getting angry. How can you let this fellow be so nasty towards you? You should stop him. And the master won't stop. And this went after year, and then there was a big gathering happening. And this master was about to give a lecture, and this man comes up and starts abusing. Very loud, in front of everyone, esteemed guests. This man is abusing like anything. And then this master gets up, goes, catches him, thrashes him in front of everybody, and then quietly come back and gives his lessons. And that man immediately became quiet. And once the talk was over, all these disciples came to him. Why you waited all these years? You could have done it 5 years before. Why you didn't do that? Then he says, I didn't do it because I still had anger inside me. Now I have conquered my anger. There is no trace of anger. I am full of compassion for him. So I went and thrashed him. So there is a difference from what state you are acting. That's a fundamental difference. Thrashing is there all the time. Now it's part of the game. But from where do you thrash? Now how do you thrash? Yeah.
When Aurobindo could manifest and to Churchill or someone else, why didn't he do it in a more peaceful way? It could have saved many lives.
Suppose you want to take a log of wood and make it into furniture. You have to take a nice chisel and cut it and chop it and shape it and make it, right? It's not very peaceful when you look at a stone being chipped away or a wood being cut and taken into the machine and chopped, and it's very harsh thing happening, isn't it? Yes or no? What is the difference? Now I am using this as a metaphor. When it comes to manifesting things, say you have a old house and you want to build a new house. What do? You demolish, right? Even if it breaks your heart, you demolish it, right? Yes or no? It's the same thing. If something is emerging, something has to be destroyed. If I am to utter a word, silence has to be broken. That's why in Indian tradition we have these three things always go together. Creation goes with destruction. And then there is something that is carried over, sustained. So in the evolutionary process, like when your mobile is evolving, right? Mobile is evolving, right? Do you agree or not? It's evolving. So the old mobile is becoming obsolete, new mobile is coming up. In that process there is a lot of violence happening to earth and all those things, but there is an evolutionary continuity that is happening. It is still a phone, but it's a lot more than a phone. It has acquired new capacities. It still has many of the old traits, old genes inherited, but it's something new. So there is an evolutionary transformation that is happening. And in that evolutionary transformation there is a destruction of old form and a creation of a new form. And in that there is a transition. When it is untrained, it looks very violent. But when you see behind what's going on, you see that this is part of the transformational journey. If you want to create a new habit, if you want to throw away your tamas or your rajas, you have to be ruthless, right? Even small things like when you eat something, is that violence? Is there violence involved in eating? Why is a plant less sacred than you are? Less living than you are? Is it? We got used to things, so we think it's okay. It doesn't look violent. But it's life eating life, isn't it? Have you seen that image of snake eating its own tail? The one being is eating itself. It's one force, one energy, one reality. But it multiplies into many forms and plays with itself. So what is the fundamental attitude required? It's important if you want to be Karmayogis. What's the first fundamental attitude? Discriminate between things in what sense? That is the power of discernment. I am asking about attitude. There is a world out there. All your friends are there, the campus is there, the trees are there. Non-attachment, fine, but what is that out there? Yeah? See oneness in all. So what is that one? True self. Nice word, but what does it mean? Now we can come up with nice words, but experientially, what is it? Is it you, what is out there? It's not, right? Me, separate. Everyone else out there. Out of that there are living things and then there are dead things, the rocks and stones, and then there are animals whom I can eat, and then there are animals who are my pets. Right? What's our fundamental attitude? Do we really look at things as one? Do we at all look at everything as one? No, right? As one being. Is it possible? First is to intellectually understand it, conceptually understand it. Experientially it wouldn't come. So first thing to do is to download that oneness app and install it. So that now when you're looking out, you see that too is me, this is me, but I look so different. Now as a practice, go around looking at everyone and say, this is me, or all these are one being, one divine being. Can you imagine that as an exercise? Are you willing to do that? Willing to practice? Now, we have lunch break coming at 12. We have time. So we can prepare ourselves to install some attitudes, some new modules. Oneness app. So what does Oneness app will do?
Things, oneness or a lot of different things, seeing God, but he didn't really believe in them to begin with. What was it about him, his nature or his abilities or his approach in life? What was it about him that led to all this? How was he different from?
Very interesting question. Remember when he took up sadhana, when he started practicing pranayama, we have all heard about pranayama, right? It's nothing new. But he took it up and practiced 4 to 6 hours. What is that? That intensity, that concentration, that is tapasya. That ability to gather your energy. And say, this I want, and I want to know what it is, how it is. I put all my energy. The whole being behind it. So when he took up the yoga of the Gita, okay, if the divine is there, I want to see you. One-minded pursuit, the entire attention upon Krishna. I want to see you. I want to meet you. And he gathered the entire energy towards that. If you exist, show up. Come. I am here. I will put everything. Every breath I will remember you, I will look for you. That is tapasya. Tapas that creates the heat. Through that transformation happens. But first is that ability to concentrate, choose. If this is you, if this is one being, then I am looking at every passing movement as that. Nothing else. And he had such an incredible will to do so. That makes him stand apart. The complete self-giving to the chosen purpose. Even your study, whatever you study, whatever engineering or humanities, whichever branch you are studying, your ability to totally give yourself to it. A single-minded pursuit. This is what I want to know now. And stay with it. Unwavering. Unshakable. Tapasya. That brings the difference. Concentration. Ability to concentrate. Our attention is all the time scattered. Okay, I remember for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, then something else pops up, I'm going behind that. Thought will trigger, my attention is wandering. We are scattered. Our attention wanders from one thing to other. All the time, habitually, unconsciously, mechanically. Every sensory input triggers a thought, triggers an emotion, triggers an action, all happening habitual and conscious. From there we need to gather, a conscious gathering of our attention upon whatever we choose. So if it is oneness, can you meditate on oneness? At least for 1 hour. We're not asking for anything larger. Is it possible to keep attention? Are you ready to try? Is it worth trying as an experiment? No, we are here to experiment and to learn. Unless we experiment and try it out, we cannot come to any real experiential understanding. And self-mastery comes from gathering up of all these energies, the mental energy, emotional energy, physical energy. Everything has to be gathered so that we can direct it. Ready? So, what is the attitude? Oneness, whom are we looking? You can imagine whichever way you want, whichever way you conceive. One of the fundamental thing is, there is this world out there, and that is one being, let's say the divine, whichever form you call it, whether you call it Allah or Christ or Krishna or whichever, your Ishta Devata is your favorite name. Whatever works for you, something that you can hold. Oh, this is what you are. I want to see you. Where are you hiding? Because it's a living presence. And to see how long you can hold that attention, how long you can hold the inquiry. Ready for the game? So what I want is, we will do a little concentration here, and then we will walk all the way from here to the dining hall. And I want you to remain absolutely silent. Just be with yourself. Resist the temptation to talk. Because the talking is the most habitual, unconscious thing to do. So to be with yourself, absolutely silent, concentrating upon one being. In Gita, they say Vasudeva Sarvam Iti, or whichever dear form, whichever way you can conceive the divine love as your beloved, that is all this. Focus on that single idea and just be with yourself. Observe what is happening inside, what's happening outside, and absolute concentration. And when you go and sit and eat with that awareness. You are eating that. You are being with that, and that is going to be your body. You're breathing that, you're seeing that, you're hearing that, you're smelling that, you're eating. It is walking through you as you. So eat quietly. Just be with yourself. No talking. Even if you see somebody breaking, unable to, the withdrawal symptoms shows up, get so restless and start asking questions, how is it going? Resist the temptation. And help others, don't break others. If you are unable to hold, please don't spoil others' concentration. Yeah? And eat, remain silent till we come back here, 1 o'clock. So if there is extra time, just be around, just be with yourself, no interaction among yourself, concentrate. Ready? And only few people can talk. There is Devdas, Arul, we need to look at the logistics and various things. Everyone else remains absolutely concentrated. It's a practice of concentration, practice of tapasya, practice of dynamic meditation. Your daily life is not separate from your yoga practice. So you're going to walk in a normal street, you're going to have lunch, normal places, normal incidents, your friends are all around, and practice absolute concentration. Just 1 hour. And see what happens. And then we will have the data. Because we have to be scientific. We have to be very, very rational in our exploration of consciousness. Study of consciousness is not a random freak. It's meticulous observation, study, understanding, and insights come from that actual practice. So I want now you to sit comfortably. I will just take you through a small concentration practice, and then we will start from here. Make yourself comfortable, sit peacefully. Feel your whole body, top to bottom. Feel the weight, the mass of your body resting. Feel it. The weight of your body. And the earth is holding you peacefully. Stable earth below, and you are sitting. Feel the skin resting. Connect with the entire skin of your body. Feel the whole body, the way you are sitting, your palms, your fingers, your arms, biceps, shoulders, the chest. Feel the chest. Feel the head above. Your neck, connecting the two. Connected with the chest, your arms. Weight of your arms resting on your legs. Feel the torso, the breath going in, out, entire torso expanding, contracting. Breath going in, out. Just solid seat. Feel the hips, your thighs, connected with your torso, your arms all together. Your knees, your ankles, sole of your feet. Feel the whole body top to bottom as a one block in which the breath is naturally happening. Around you the soundscape, the fans, the traffic, the horn. There is a wider soundscape in which the body is resting, in which the breath is happening. And look at your breath, the outgoing breath, feel it. Feel the outgoing breath all the way till it vanishes. Come to stillness, wait for the breath to return. When the breath returns, receive as if you are receiving your most dear friend, most nourishing breath, your beloved breath entering, nourishing your body. Receive with gratitude the breath that is nourishing you. Feel the body being nourished by the breath. Let go of the out-breath entirely and follow the out-breath till it vanishes entirely, coming to a stillness. And wait for the breath to return. Your beloved friend is returning to nourish your body. Receive with gratitude the nourishing breath, the nourishing oxygen released by the trees, the plants. You're receiving from them, nourishing your body, and you give out your out breath that the trees are receiving, the plants are receiving. It's one breath animating everyone, one conscious living breath. Feel the ocean of breath all around, ocean of energy all around in which you are moving. One ocean that is nourishing all. Listen to the sounds, the movements all around, the space around, the wideness around. Feel your body, feel your space, feel your face. Feel your breath in your nostrils. Feel your eyes. Come to the present. Open your eyes gently as you feel comfortable. And retain the state of concentration. You can move your limbs, stretch your parts of your body. Retain the concentration